I've been given 30 minutes to take you through some of my notes from the front lines as a fellow entrepreneur who works in the digital area, digital space. What are the changes we see? What are the challenges we see? What are the opportunities we see? Some disclaimers though. This is by no means a lecture. This is by no means a most definitive view of the subject. But these are some notes from the front lines as I experienced them. So while many of you, and I was speaking to some of you during the breakfast before this session started, you have built bigger, better, more scalable businesses than I have. So you are in a way ahead of my learning curve in areas more than one. But then there are some areas where I may be slightly ahead of you. So with that humility and honesty, I'd like to share with you some vignettes, some of my observations as I see around us. I've been asked to talk about digital, and I feel we've already begun that journey about 20 years back. So in the next 20 minutes, I'd like to walk you through what's changed now. Why are we talking about digital now? Technology has been around us for a long time, but what's that shift now? Why are we seeing this acceleration now? What are the potential opportunities and threats for each of our businesses? We may have built a business successfully, but then there are newer business models arriving. And what are the core drivers? What is the DNA behind that disruption? And I'm somewhere between a youngster straight out of college and many of you who are far ahead of me in terms of seniority, and so I like to continue with that. And it's about 25 minutes. I like to walk you through what's happening, how to catch the wave, how to do a reality check of where we are, and in the process, learn a few things together. Some ideas I may have I want to share with you. I started working in late 80s in India, and my first experience with technology was that email happened to us. And Octane is still an email marketing company. That's separate. That's not the reason I'm here. But I used to find it fascinating that the CEOs, the chairmen, the executives used to ask the secretaries for a printout of email. Do you remember that era? How many of you remember the era? Yes. Email should be printed out, brought back to you in a folder. You would make notations, feedback, comments, send it back to your secretary, and she would dutifully transcribe it, send it across. How many of you are still doing that, by the way? Great. Power to you, sir. I see a lot more CXOs now using technology directly. Consumer tech has become more mainstream. And so we are already halfway there. I don't have to talk to you about how digital is good for your business, how technology is good for your business. You already are experimenting, leveraging the potential of tech. Many of you are running businesses which are built around tech. There's hardly any business where digital and tech has not transformed. But there's a new wave arriving, and that wave was easy to discount earlier when we had just electrons moving. If you're selling something on the internet, it got services, for example, it was easy for us to discount. But now if you look at it, how tech is changing some of our traditional industries, transportation being a great example, the Uber model and the Ola cabs, asset-intensive industries, they are being challenged and changed by digital disruption. So I'd like to present to you some ideas what's happening, what's at the core of this drive, and what can we learn from it. So this is my agenda for today with you for the next 25 minutes. It's going to be a breezy walkthrough. I'll play a few videos, keep you entertained, share some ideas, and I think we should keep the questions for the last. Or also, this is pretty much a session where you can take out your cell phones. If you're on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, if you'd like to tweet about it, please go ahead, because we work in an attention economy. So if I can't hold your attention through my deliberation, there's a shift here. Nowadays when we go to workshops, you tell them, take out your laptops, take out your tablets, take out everything you have, fire up your 3G, and then let me see if I can earn your interest. And that's the economy we are in. We are in the interest economy. Some people call it a sharing economy, but we're in the interest economy. No longer can you push just because you're on the control situation. So control, we'll discuss this in some more detail. This is what's happened. We used to have tech around us. Computers are not new. But the combination of these 3 Ds, data, devices, and digital, all networked together, is what's compounded the acceleration of change around us. There are some notes here, some threads. I'd like to just take you through some of them. One of them, which is what we are grappling with, is that digital, the hyperlinks. You know what hyperlink is? Hyperlink is when you have a web page and there's a blue link, you click on it, you go to the next page. Hyperlinks subvert hierarchy. Now this, in my view, if you ask me for one thing which is changing how things are happening around us in the last, definitely for the last 5 years, this is that one big shift. When you go to digital and you have hyperlinks, the set hierarchy of control command structures is where there's a maximum disruption in our organizational structures, in our markets, in the way policymakers behave, in the way the governance is. So some of this we already see around us, but a whole lot is happening and unfolding in front of us. So if you go through this, for example, at 3 o'clock on East Coast, Volkswagen goes through a press conference in the US, and the chairman has to say, well, this is what we have done and we are sorry. At 3:30 in India, you can actually get to know the entire story. This is unprecedented. The speed at which news flows out, your brand reputation, what I call intangibles, can be amplified and can be brought down to almost grassroots ground level. So the speed at which it moves around, the scale at which it moves around, and the way it disrupts, you cannot anymore control some information within your company. And we have done that. For example, we have said we have companies where you have to leave your cell phones at the reception security. You cannot have any USB enabled. And I fundamentally believe a lot of that will get challenged more and more as we go forward. We'll discuss this in some more detail. Of course, data, it's, nowadays people walk with terabytes in their phones or USB drives. My phone has all my inventory of music. I've been collecting music, listening to music since late 80s, and I've been buying those records earlier, then tapes, cassette tapes, and then CDs, and now Blu-ray. And all of that resides into my 64 GB pen drive or my phone. So when I'm driving my car or being driven around, I can actually connect through Bluetooth, and all my music, I mean, to me, that's a miracle. It's no longer than magic. It's no less than a magic. It's a magic box. It's got videos, it's got audio. What does it mean for you? There's a lot of data we're generating. It's no longer sufficient for your CIO to come to you and say, oh, I've got 100 terabytes, I'm good to go. There's a session I can do separately for our Internet of Things. How much data we'll be doing 15x more data in the next 5 years than we do today. Scale at which we are growing our data pool. So when you look at this, analytics and big data, you cannot now ask for, let me pull a report from a database. That's so 80s and 90s. When you go to e-commerce portal and you buy something, they have access to the entire behavior of yours for the last 15 transactions, 15 visits, and based on that, in real time, they have to serve a new offer to you. But historically, that's not the way our MIS systems have worked. That's not the way our IT systems have worked. There's been a lag. You ask your MIS, your EDP for a report, and they'll pull out and give it back to you. Nowadays, it's not just about, oh, I want to have an executive system, EIS, and I'll click on it, I'll get double click. No. Now, this has to be actionable in real time. So when you go to a portal like Snapdeal, it has access to all the data points of your last transactions, your behavior of navigating through the systems, and they can serve offers based on that in real time. So it's no longer about having data, running reports, but how can you serve actionables at the moment of truth? That's what the new thing is. Devices. Each new device that you add adds to the power of the network. And look around you. Many of us are carrying more than one cell phone. Many of us have more than one email address. So devices, for example, tablets, computers, this is all adding to the mix. So each of them were siloed, working very differently. Nowadays, your car can talk to the manufacturer directly. OTA updates can happen to the chip of your car. There are challenges, there are gaps, there are dark sides of that as well. We'll discuss some of that in detail. The point here is there's unprecedented access and empowerment. When you look at the Wi-Fi consumption of your home, you'll find that you're consuming X, but your house help, your drivers, if you've given them access to your Wi-Fi, they're consuming a big chunk of that data as well. There you go, right? So the unprecedented access and empowerment. Right now we have crossed approximately 400 million online users in India who are doing all these three. They have access to digital, they have access to a network, they are consuming data, and they are also using multiple devices. When this becomes from 400 million to next 800 million, imagine what you'll go through. So please expect a lot more Facebook requests to come from your house help, drivers, your salon lady. It'll happen. Right now we were elite. We were the first guys to experiment and learn, but this is throwing up newer opportunities. More people in India access internet through mobile devices than through broadband connections at home and with their laptops and tablets. We are adding 5 million new users on the internet every month, and 95% of them are using mobile devices to connect. I don't even know what's going to be the magnitude of disruption around us, but I know this is going to be massive. So if you combine these three, and we see it around us, so I'll play a small popular ad for you, a Vodafone ad, and you'll see these three come together, and then you'll say, okay, this makes sense, because I'm presenting you something which is very hypothetical. But when I show how it manifests in a consumer's life or in a business life cycle, then perhaps you can appreciate this more.
Excuse me, आपका डेटा अगर डबल हो जाए तो आप क्या करोगे?
Are you still lying in bed? Get up, उठो, उठो, कुछ करो. What are you doing? Hi, my pookie, cutie patootie. What's up?
Nothing.
Okay, choose light one or dark one.
Yeah, this one.
They're not the same, big one.
No.
What are you eating?
Pizza.
I'm having pasta. What's up? You can talk now.
Yeah, I can talk.
Give me a kiss.
No.
Now.
This example just exemplifies what's happening around us. Data device digital, it's getting enmeshed in our everyday life. Selfies, for example, are unintended consequences of mobile cameras, mobile phones getting a camera. So there'll be unintended consequences of things we are discussing from a digital perspective as well. But clearly there's a lot of disruption around us. And I think as business people, we have to look at how can we harness that in the most positive way. So how can you ace this disruption? How can we be ahead of it? What are the kind of efforts you have to put into your DNA of your organization? What are some of the challenges as you do this transformation from the non-digital world to a hybrid model of digital, offline, online, and somehow purely online? So these are the three areas where as capabilities, as skill sets, as newer muscle, you may have to build into your organization. And those are ACE, A for algorithms. So computers understand algorithms, digital works on algorithms. So understanding how algorithms work is fundamentally very important for you to show up on the Google search engines, how newer consumers will discover you. A potential customer in Chile may be looking for a component that you can make in India far better than anybody else. But how do they discover you is part of this algorithm business. The wonderful thing about this is that you are global, anybody can discover you, but also you can be lost in the ocean if you do not know how these algorithms work. So are you hiring data scientists? Are you hiring folks who understand analytics? Are you hiring computer engineers? There were 4 engineers in the presidential campaign of Obama the first time around. There were 12 engineers the next time that campaign happened. If you look at so when the political parties understand the relevance of algorithms, I think we cannot stay away from that reality. So algorithms, understanding how complex equations, mathematical equations pan out in terms of discovery of your company and how those things work out. Second is community. Community of your community you serve, community of your customers, community of your prospects, community of your suppliers. So are you creating a community? Are you fostering a community? For example, this is a community. So ICICI decides to work with this community, and this is a community, and they're part of this community. So are you part of such communities? And many of you are, without calling it community, you are part of associations and industry forums and SIGs. So now how are you serving that community? Are you part of those active stakeholder communities? And the third is, what is your engagement? How often do you talk to them? I have a lot of marketeer friends who will think about doing an email newsletter only when they have an offer. So they'll think of consumer as only a consumer, as a sales prospect, and they will only talk to them about when they have something to offer. Well, the consumers are looking to have a longer conversation with the brand. And by the way, some of you may think that, is this relevant for B2B? Is this all consumer-led businesses? And I would say, to some extent, the scale would be unprecedented for consumer business. But these three levels, the three skills, are equally relevant for even B2B. I mean, a classic example is how Intel changed the equation of what went inside the computer. They actually did a lot of consumer connect. So imagine if your customers, B2B, your business customers, have an input, have a demand from the consumers on what should go inside that component, that device that gets manufactured, that's a great place to be. So it's not meant only for, we run a business-to-business company. Octane serves marketeers, but we have special interest groups. We have a user group meeting which happens every quarter in Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore. This is relevant even for B2B, though the format and how you connect with them may change a little. About digital, 100% is measurable. So unlike an ad campaign you would run on television, on print, on a classified directory, this is measurable. It's infinite scale. So if your marketeer comes to you and says, you're not giving me any marketing budget, you can tell them, look, let's be more innovative in our storytelling capability. Authenticity is the currency. No longer can you hide, and you can hide for some time. How many exposes are you seeing around you? Things you do not know happened in India, happened in the world. Volkswagen being a great example. This is the digital age. You can hide for some time, but you cannot remove it. You cannot purge it, because the digital memory of the society will absolutely catch up with it at some point in time, be it a quick audio clip, a video clip, an archive of a document. I'm reading a lot about our history because I get fed that on a social media post, what happened at that time, what is the role, for example, Winston Churchill played in the 1943 Bengal famine. I was not a history student. So what's happening here is that authenticity, stories which are told by the customers, by your clients, are far more real. I don't have a brochure, for example, in my company. We don't have a brochure. If you ask me for Octane brochure, we don't have one. But what we have is a research reports. How are our community, digital marketeers, using technology, and what's their view to what's changing around them? We do 6 to 7 such reports every year. Now, are we a market research company? We're not. So authenticity comes from being the real you, and every company here has a story to tell to their employees, to outside world. There is a reason why your customers choose you. That's not because you're the cheapest cost. There's more to it. Storytelling or warm human values. So I'll show you a video which is about a car company. How many of you heard about Tesla? You look around you, everybody here has heard. When was the last time Tesla placed an ad in India? When they reached out to you? How many of you would buy a Tesla if it's available in the next 3 months in India? There you go. I must tell you, I can sell 100 Teslas to my audiences. What has happened here? They're not even in India. They have no interest of being in India. How did you get to know about it? Now, can that work to your favor if you're a company out of India, selling to Indian customers, serving Indian marketplace? Can you be known somewhere outside the world? So let me play a short clip on this experience bit and storytelling. And this is not the official Tesla video, but when you see this, you would love to start to think about, when can I have access to this car? I like to experience it for myself. Sales and marketing. Sales is when you go to the customer and say, I have something to sell. Marketing, when customer calls you.
You're filming reactions of people?
It's a long video, I'll play a short clip for you.
Okay.
Glad I had a big dinner, ribs and cornbread, I'll tell you that.
So you're going to do it and I'm really not going to know, you're just going to hit it.
Don't be the best way.
Scare me.
Ready?
Yeah.
Astronauts report it feels good. T-minus 25 seconds.
Or need a helmet or anything?
No, I think I'm good.
Oh yeah, I'm ready.
T-minus 15
Ready?
seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10,
Okay,
9.
ready?
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
You can watch this on, I'm disturbing you, I know you wanted to see the entire video, but I have a time limit. You can see this entire video. How much money do you think Tesla put to make this video? Zero. It's a user video. Nothing. This is a consumer user experience. Now, let me ask you a question. Which one would be more credible? This video versus a slickly produced Tesla ad campaign? Then why aren't we enabling such videos with our community? You're all serving communities of clients, stakeholders, employees, customers. Why are we not investing in the ACE disruption? You can watch this on YouTube, by the way. This is a user who's uploaded it. There's nothing official about it. And it's got more than 50,000, 60,000 views. And there are many such videos, by the way. And why does it work? Because it's authentic. It's a user story. Why does it work? Because it's got warm human values. People are experiencing it. We somehow don't think of digital like this platform. We think of digital as push. A lot of brands in India are still into this push mode that I have a campaign, I have to have a banner. By the way, you've noticed I'm not talking about Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. I can tell you some of the shortcuts to get better performance there. But the intent here is that if you get the fundamentals right, which is about amplifying the consumer story or your customer story, if you get the amplification around the what do you stand for, there's a whole large ecosystem out there waiting to tap into what you have to offer and make you successful. So what I said here, for example, the algorithms community engagement. And if you give them a reason, so for example, in my business, people will say, can you make a viral video? Let me ask you a question. Can you make a viral video, please? You can make a video. Viral is what the consumers do to you or your customers do to you. That's right? But how many times you'll have agencies saying, I'll make a viral video for you, right? So that's what it is. You can have Facebook page with millions of likes, but no engagement will not go nowhere. Many of us actually are coming from that background where we compete on price. We're a commodity. But hey, try to sell a Samsung phone to an Apple phone user. Commodity, right? Cell phone wo bhi hai, cell phone ye bhi hai. Usme bhi camera, usme bhi camera hai. You can compare and benchmark feature to feature, Samsung to Apple. But you lose that battle with the Apple user. It's commodity, right? No. What is the perceived value of the thing that person is experiencing? And how do you make amplification happen? First, you got to have the great product. And then you create platforms through which that amplification happens. People will share with each other. Why do you think Apple does a conference to launch those products at a particular time and builds up the excitement and drums up the entire energy? They can always launch it anytime they want to do it. Because that builds up the platform. The community gets a reason to engage again, and the viral thing happens. Apple phone is launched at 2 o'clock at night, and next day morning you're curious, oh, kya hua? Which is the next iPad? So I'm saying you're not Apple, and I'm not Apple either. But is there a role is there a role for digital for us to amplify that customer connection? So ACE, understand unless your company understands algorithms, Google this case, for example, Facebook, for example, SEO, for example, firewalls, for example, security systems, for example, online, we'll have a challenge there. And unless you can curate your community and engage with them, platforms like these, for example, for B2B businesses, such platforms are a great way to engage. A lot of things are happening virtually, but if you do insist on some physical presence like this for your business customers, this will go a long way. I'll take a quick point on this. If you look at last 25 years, 500 Fortune 500 companies, there's research in America which says the intangible assets and the tangible assets. The tangible assets is what the bank will give you a loan for. Factory, equipment, land, physical infrastructure. And then there's intangible assets, your brand image, your customer value, your employees, your reputation, all that is intangible value. So when they did this analysis over 25-year time period in the US, the highest growth in 2014 was in the intangible sector. And this is the reason why when you look at some of the hype in the media about newer business models, how can a company which doesn't make any profit be valued at X? This is where the intangible assets appreciation is what's playing a part. You will say, I'm running a legitimate business for the last 20 years. I've done everything which is possible. I'm not even valued at 5x. And here is a company which gets valued at 40x, and they're yet to make any profit. Amazon in the last 15 years has made only 2 or 3 quarters of profit. Yet in the last 12 months, their stock doubled. So what's happening here? And let's be honest, CEO's role is not to just look at market valuation, market capitalization, but that does play a part in your assessment of your business and how it's getting appreciated in the community you are. From that perspective, if you see, intangible assets can scale up faster, can get you better return on your capital. And yes, as a young company whose only assets are intangibles in a way, we don't own any building, we own intellectual property, which is all technical and digital. We do have a challenge when we go to SMB banking of a bank and say, can I have a working capital requirement, please? Can I have a loan? And of course, those challenges remain. But from another marketplace, which is the venture community, private equity funds, how you get appreciated is also dependent on how intangible assets are. So there are 4 types of companies: asset builders, service providers, network orchestrators, technology creators. And I'm sure you are fitting in one of those 4 sections. But this is what happened in terms of asset creation, intangible assets getting multiplied in market valuations more and more in the 25-year time period in the US than the tangible assets. So what do we need to do to address this? Digital has a role to play. If you want to amplify your intangible assets, digital has a huge role to play. And this is where you can actually think about creating some incubation centers as part of your business. You can have some people, some resources, a separate physical infrastructure for them to take a punt. Or you can create some small funds to say, I'm going to go and fund personally or as a company into companies which can have a disruptive model onto my business. I'll just move ahead a little bit faster, but there is a role that CXOs have to play in this digital transformation. A brand is no longer a brand marketeers or CMOs initiative. CIOs have a role to play in the brand as well. I'm happy to take this offline and discuss this with you. What's next on digital? A lot of technologies around you are changing. So these are the, I would say, 4+1 trends I would like you to take a note on in your businesses. How is social impacting my business? How is mobile impacting my business globally and in India? How is analytics changing things around me? And how is cloud, that you don't have to buy all the technology in one go? And the easiest way to remember this is to say SMAC, social media, analytics, and cloud. And the latest one being e-commerce, so it's SMAC E. How will e-commerce change the business you are in? And if you are keeping a track of all of this as promoters, as CXOs, I think you'll be in a far better shape than being disrupted and one day realize that you're losing a lot of your potential market value. What you thought was confined to you and your captive area will happen. So mobile internet, Internet of Things, cloud technology, I can send this deck to you later on a quick email. You can go through this. These are some of the things I would keep a track on from a CXO's perspective for your own business, or how to incubate disruptive models around your business, but maybe in a siloed capacity, and then replicate this to your business. I'll leave perhaps some of these slides for later discussion, but digital tech is doing digital disruption. Companies are harnessing that for digital transformation, and that's coming from those 3 Ds, data, devices, digital. How to ace it is through algorithms, community engagement, and digital investments do pay off. So companies which invest into digital proactively have seen a much better realization of profits, some indicator of how industries are leveraging digital. We have enough of data points to say, as promoters, as industrialists, as CXOs, as co-founders, you have to look at this slightly more closely than you may have done in the past. I've got some of the references when I share the deck with you, perhaps. You can go through some of this in more detail. So we can take a few questions if you have. But thank you for the opportunity. It's been wonderful being here and sharing some of the notes I see on how this is challenging and changing my business. So let me see if I can take a few questions, and then thank you so much.